live. Ni recording.
Good evening, friends. You are very much welcome to this evening session. I believe we are all going to be able to learn something and benefit. And I'm very pleased with your presence for some of you who've not been able to reach to see the previous discussions that I've had or that we've been able to have. I have posted a YouTube link. I have posted a YouTube link there, which people can also use to follow the same discussion, and also for later references. And for those who may not have subscribed, you can always subscribe there. This evening, I'm going to discuss what it takes to put your business online. And this is one of those topics that I love. I've had many years of experience doing this. And I know we are going to have a very healthy discussion. And so at this moment, maybe we can start by picking your own expectations for the day. Yes. So could I get some of the questions that perhaps could be within your heart that you may want to be addressed? Anyone there with specific question that needs to be incorporated, just in case I may not have thought about it? Njenga, James, anything you have in mind? You can just unmute and say your mind. Yeah, good to see you. Felix, long time. Karibu Nancy. Yes, big bro Musa. Anybody with specific area they would like to be addressed, kindly feel free to share with me as I get started. By the way, am I communicating? I hope people are getting me. Can somebody say yes?
Yes, we are getting you, Paul.
Good,
Peter.
good, James. Yeah, it's good to know that people are listening. And if you don't have any specific question, maybe they will come along. I'll go straight and get started. I'll be sharing this screen just to guide me so that I don't get out of the topic. I can always speak. My background is teaching. Yeah, I love teaching. I love what I'm doing, so I can speak. One is just in case we haven't met before. My name is Otieno or Paul Peter. I am very passionate about teaching. I'm very passionate about IT. Very passionate about business development. My background actually is ICT and business. I did a degree in physics, then specialized in applied electronics, microprocessor systems, and instrumentation, everything to do with computing and digital technology. And in my postgraduate, I did MSc in information systems. And I've always worked in the IT sector. I started by training, teaching IT, and then I worked as a network support specialist, a network engineer, and I've had a number of certifications in this field. I've always been a player in the industry from the time I left college. And even before, when I was in college, this has always been my field. And I'm very happy about it. I am a business person. I started an organization called Live Your Dream Enterprises Limited, through which we help people to nurture their businesses, to learn personal life skills and soft skills, some business skills to be able to grow. We help people to start their businesses and register them. I also run this organization which I started, ICT Gurus EA Limited. It was started in 2009, so it's been there for quite some time. I am an author. I've done 2 books, which people seem to love very well. So I'm naturally a teacher. And the question maybe we want to start answering is, why should you be online? And more so in today's world where most of the things people want to do online, this question need to be very easy to answer for you, because you know, wherever you are, whichever the business you're involved in, or even if you are not even in business, you know, most people do not know, but the first product, the first business you are in is selling your product, and that product is yourself. You're the first product. And as you grow in your career, as you grow in your field, you are becoming a brand. And that brand need to be somewhat discoverable. At one point, a long time ago, I was attending a certain talk and somebody said, in the future, it's going to reach a time where if you cannot be found online, if somebody Googles your name, they can't get you, they can't reach your website, you are going to be considered to be offline. And already we are there. Most times, anything you hear about today, you want to Google it to find out more information about it. Everything, every product, including any employment opportunity. Today, if you meet some job advert that is talking of at Yahoo or at Hotmail, at Gmail, somewhat you doubt the authenticity. And one way that people today recognize authenticity of a particular product, you being one of the products, is they get it online, they get what those people are about saying or what that person is about. Today, somebody should have his or her own CV online. And that's why you hear about headhunting. But to many people, when they think of being online, they think of social media. Yeah, they just think of being on Facebook, and not much is happening on Facebook that builds you. If you check maybe your Facebook page, you realize that much of what is happening on Facebook is not something that can be used to learn more about you. Well, it's used to learn more about you, but perhaps not what you want people to know about you. It's not you, it's not branding you well. And so it's very important for each and every one of us to always be discoverable online. The world has become a global village, in that whatever is happening in Kenya, what is happening in Uganda, what is happening in Burundi, what is happening in China, all these things work together. When you're buying a vehicle, perhaps in Kenya, you want to find out how you can import it. You are coordinating with other people in another part of the world. So you're just trying to look for your own space in a global village. You want to be present, whether you are an organization or you as an individual, as an entity. You want to be discoverable. Otherwise, you are probably still living on the world that is going, the world that is passing. Now, this world that we are talking about has been enhanced much further with the COVID situation, because most of organizations which still thought they would continue with the traditional method of driving, commuting, moving to go sit somewhere and do some work. They are restructuring and realizing that actually they can always save money when people work on deliverables, people work on output, as opposed to working on presence. People are not going to be paid anymore based on their presence. They are going to be paid based on their deliverables. And that means there are going to be more opportunities for qualified people, not just opportunities for certificates. And that is where we are. So your reputation, your branding can be done better when you make use of technology. Your marketing, whether you're marketing a product, there is a slight difference between marketing and branding. Marketing is creating that awareness, promoting something, but branding now is the authenticity. It's now that which people know about you, the feeling, the experience that they interact with when they ultimately get to know about you, whether you deliver the goods or you just talk. So it's very important that your organization, that your own self, you be present online, and not just present, but discoverable. I insist on that word. Now, factors that people always need to consider. You know, a lot of people take it casually. This idea of being online, as long as you have some page there, web page there. And I've seen people put on some WordPress. So your website becomes whatever your company is, .wordpress.com. There is nothing that can be more hurting to your organization. Yeah, you cannot say that your organization is does not have a domain, cannot afford a domain. We are going to discuss about that. So some of the things you need to consider is reliability. Whether the presence, the server, the hosting that you are getting is reliable. Meaning, anytime you are going to use it, and I've seen, this is why most people still go back to Google. You'll realize that they have a domain, they have a website, but when you check their email, some people even put info.theorganization@yahoo.com or at gmail.com. It means something is still not right. Ensure whether the platform you're getting is reliable. You can rely on it. You can always somewhat depend on it. Is it available, or it was available in the morning, right now you can't get it? It's available sometimes. No. You want something that is always available for you. At least 99.9% of the times it's available. And that is something that can be achieved, and people have achieved it. So those are some of the things you need to consider. I know some people consider cost, but there is always an opportunity cost that is pegged on that cost. The other thing is scalability. Scalability means you can scale it up or down. You can expand it. You can grow it. As the organization grows, you grow with it. Maybe today you have a smaller organization with 2-3 people, and your website is not very big, but as you continue to develop in your business, to grow in your business, you continue to supply things, you continue to maybe post blogs, you're growing, you continue to have more photos, you continue to have more customers, you continue to have more people inquiring about you, more people looking for you. Then even the search engines as things like Google, Bing, and things like that, they start looking for you. You start consuming more of the bandwidth time. So your hosting needs to be something that is scalable. It can grow. Usability. Some of them can be available, but very difficult to use, to navigate around. You just can't find your way around. So always think about that. In systems development, we learned that you can develop a very beautiful system. It can help in many ways, but the user cannot find his way or her way around it. That is a very important factor. So check whether it's usable, it's user-friendly. That is what is more important than even its abilities. Then continuity. This continuity means backup. It doesn't depend on some specific location or an individual or something. In case of disaster, there is always some contingency. You are able to move on. If Kenya burnt down and you find yourself in Uganda, you are still able to go on. In fact, I was telling some people as I was consulting on business that in today's world, when you're building your business, it's very important to check whether this business is a type that you can easily move around with. Meaning, if, for example, during post-election violence, you are not able to run it, like right now during COVID, you are not limited to a particular locality. You are somewhat able to make it available wherever you are, or you can run it from wherever you are. That's part of what we learned at some point in MSc. It's called information based. And every business can be at that level, only that most of us don't want to think about it. And I think COVID has made people somewhat start thinking seriously about that. And then security. I've had many experiences with insecurity online where you are hosted somewhere, but then where most of the times that server is breakable. It gets attacked, and then you try to open your website, you just see some other things. You just see some either vulgar things or some black sort of website, things that are not yours, meaning they've been hacked and some other things have been injected into it. And even when you are running your business online, you know that you cannot just be tracked by other things, malware and things like that. So security is quite important. The other thing is support. How easy is it for you to get support? You will need it at midnight, you need it at what particular time, you need it during the holidays. How easy is it for you to get that support, and to what degree? Yeah, how high can you get it? So those are some of the areas that we always need to consider when you want to put your business online. As you can see, I did not even consider the cost, because mostly the costs are very competitive depending on the service you're getting. Yeah, if you're getting a service that is compromised at a certain level, you will always get something, you will always get a cost that is commensurate to it. And that's just the way it works. You all know wherever you are going to buy something, something of quality will cost something a little more. Then these are the steps. The first thing that somebody needs to get, you see, most people know that they need to register their businesses. At least some of, not most people, but many people. I edit that because there are people who really fear registering their businesses. They always think that when they register it, they are making it vulnerable, maybe for the taxes and things like that. There is some need for education alongside that. So it's good to note that you can be running a business that has no name. It's like you have a child who has no name. How do you call it? When you are introducing it to somebody, how do you do it? It means you don't expect it to grow. It's a trading. It's like you're selling groundnuts at some corridor or in some streets. So it's good for a business to have a name that is registered. But then immediately you've registered that name, please get a domain, because the registration thing is for Kenya. It's for the local presence, for the legal element and things like that. Domain now makes it available globally, makes it available, and now you can operate online. So what is a domain? This is a question that I keep getting every time we are boarding people. A domain is something like this. Maybe your name.com, like mine is otienopolpeter.com. If you get to that, you'll be able to get almost everything. Just a couple of minutes before we started, I got some call from somebody we interacted briefly a couple of months ago. And he was telling me he kept looking for my number a whole day. I was asking him, why couldn't you Google it? And then he told me that is exactly what I did. And a number of times I've gotten a call from maybe a TV station, from an organization, simply because they were Googling some information and my website came up and they got that information and wanted an interview or something like that. So a domain is something like this. It's whichever the company, it's got to be unique. This can only be one globally. Now, it's good to mention that a domain always has an expiry period. Yeah, everything online is somewhat subscriptional. It's something that you need to renew yearly, but you can pay for a couple of years in advance. So a domain will always be something that every year you ensure it's renewed. A friend of mine did not know about this. We met a couple of years back, probably 6 or something years ago. We were discussing about this element. And then he told me, you know what? The person who introduced me to website thing who was hosting me did not tell me that I needed to be renewing. So I lost my domain and I lost my business. I asked him what happened, why couldn't you re-register it? That you see, the moment I realized it's not there, somebody else had already registered it and picked all my customers. And so they were running a website just like mine. It was a tour organization. So these these tourists coming from abroad to the country, going to visit places like Masai Mara. So somebody picked this, somebody was just scheming with it, picked it and picked all his customers. And that is the way that he has to start editing a different name to get that particular brand. So it's very important to know online presence. Most times it's not most times, but all the times you must be sure. Anybody who is telling you and not mentioning about subscription or some annual renewal, there is something is hiding. Most times some people don't want to mention this so that they get you in, and then after 1 year, if they remember, they tell you. And you know, most times other people are not even sure they are going to be there next year, so they don't really care. They are just looking for quick money. It could be your company name.com, like ictguruza.com. Yeah, so the moment that company is registered, you look for that name, you ensure it's registered online as well. If it's not registered online, you will have a name, a company name that is known. But when somebody Googles it to get to your contact, they will go to your competitors. You know, people are very shrewd. They'll pick the name that you've not registered online and make their own online presence. So your customers will always go to the organization. That's the way it works. Yeah. So there are extensions that people get to register. There is the .com, .co.ke, .org, .biz, .company, .law, .whatever. There are very, very many. There are quite many. But you've got to know what is appropriate for you. You see, a question I've always met is, why can't I just have .co.ke? Personally, I prefer .com. And it all depends on your scope. You will agree with me that even right now, if you Google something, you will hardly see .co.ug for the Uganda or for Tanzania. Just like them, they will not see .co.ke. Most times it will be .com. So if your scope is global, think .com. Think of top level domains. We call them top level, the global domains. This .co.ke might look gisty and fancy, but it basically means you are just within Kenya. That is where most of your clients are. Yeah, so it's good to know that. And there are lots of extensions, but always get to know that if you are a commercial organization, a business organization, or just an individual, you always need the first preference give to .com. .org mostly is for organizations that are not profit, like NGO, CBOs, whatever. All those things. CBO can use .or.ke because CBO is just for a locality. And nowadays, you know, even for NGOs, nobody will fund you if they cannot see you online, if they cannot get any website presence, online presence about you. Good to know that. Now, for your hosting, these are some of the things you need to consider. We've talked about some of them, but the first thing you need is, when you already have a domain, you always need a space. I love explaining it like this. Domain is that ID, a unique identifier, because web, the World Wide Web, as we call it, it's just that worldwide, and it's a big thing. It's, you can imagine it's something like a very big city, but in that city, somebody needs to know you. So you must have an identity that is unique to you. So they check in a catalog and look for that identity. Now that is what domain is. And then when they identify you, that domain takes them to exactly where you are. And that is now where space is, the online space, where now your products are displayed. It's now you can imagine of this as either a warehouse or a shop where things about you are put. And you always need to consider how much space you are given. If you're given less space, and with the technology improving very fast, a good example is the phones. Look at the phones. When mobile phones started coming up, or maybe around early 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, getting a phone that was 1 MB or 2 MBs was a big deal. But why? Because all that you could do was text and call. Today we have phones that are 64 GB, 128 GB, 28 GB, things like that. So, and you know that when your phone is full, it starts becoming slow, and all manner of things happen. Then those days, photos were very light in size. Today, photos are very huge. The internet is really improved in speed and things like that. So you always need to have ample space. Otherwise, your network, your website becomes slow over time and loads slowly. And even your emails start bouncing. You've seen where mails keep bouncing and telling you something like maybe over quarter, or this is a permanent error, or something like that. It's because the space that you have, that is one of the biggest causes. The space that you have is limited. So think of the size of the space, think of the speed, which is what we call bandwidth. Most times, many people don't think about this at all. The speed in this case, or generally the bandwidth, is the amount of data that you are allowed to transact. Think of it as an internet bundle that you are allocated by an organization, maybe per month, maybe 10 GB per month. If you exceed that, then it means you are not going to be able to browse. Now, the same thing happens with your hosting. If you have a small bandwidth to use, then it means when in a particular occasion, more people are looking for your for information about you, they may exceed the amount of data being downloaded from your website. Not necessarily, we call it downloading because you are opening that web browser. So it doesn't mean you are downloading it to your local drive. Then you can exceed that particular allocation that you had. And over time, you realize that your website will not display, or some other things will not work. So it's good to know how much bandwidth you have. It also determines how fast your website will be able to load. And then there are mailboxes. Mailboxes, this is the way we call an email address. For example, email@otienopolpeter.com, that is a mailbox. pp@liveyourdream.co.ke, that's a mailbox. So those are called mailboxes, akin to what you get when you go to the poster and you are given a particular key and you go open. So those mailboxes usually have sizes that can be allocated. And in most hosting, you'll realize that maybe they are given 500 MB. 500 MB, after a short while, your mails are bouncing and you don't even know that your mails are bouncing until your clients start telling you, but I've been sending you an email, it keeps coming back. And that's the way you miss opportunities. So it's good to know how many mailboxes you can have, and what's the size. Then there is security bit, which we had talked about. So in building the website, you also need to know how fast it can load. Usually that depends on how much information you've put on a page. You know, some people think if you have more photos, some people consider website with respect to how beautiful it is and how much images and information it has. In ranking website online, much of the information. Somebody is unmuted. Okay, I've done it. Online, the most important thing is how light your page can be so that it loads faster. When people are looking for information, maybe they're doing it on phone, they do not want to stare at the phone waiting for it for 30 seconds. They will go elsewhere. We have a generation that is not very patient to wait for it. So you want it to be, you want them to be light pages. You want them to, you want the information to be flowing. You can imagine if you are the visitor of that particular website, what will you look for? How fast can you get it? And for websites, you do not need to put everything about yourself. This is another mistake that many people do. When it's like a catalog, it's like a flyer or a signboard or a poster. You do not want to put everything in the website. You need to leave something for more information, or if you wish, you can attach your catalog or profile. But most times you want a reason for people to call you for more information. This is a business. This is a business strategy. If you put everything, they've already gotten it. So you, even the opportunity that you could have to convert a prospect into a sale, you won't get it. You already got everything. In selling, we teach people. If somebody asked, let's say we are selling shakes. Somebody asks, do you have vanilla? Instead of saying, yes, we do, you should ask, do you want vanilla? Which sizes do you want? We have this and this and this. Which one would you prefer? You want people to engage you. And so you need to check the information flow. You don't overload information unnecessarily. What you can, what you can discuss when people are interacting with you, asking questions. Navigation is with navigation. Somebody now wants to look for contact. They don't have to check where are the contacts for this, unless there is some genuine reason you're doing that. They need to find a way to get in touch with you. Recently, I was looking, I'm a fan of Dell. I always used Dell machines. So I had some technical problem with one of my old machines, and I wanted to ask their opinion. I really looked for their contact page. I could not just get it straight. It's not good. We always need to have some ease of navigation and even how to call for action. Those are very important in a website when you're building a website. So it's not about how many images you uploaded. Some people may want to have a big album there. No, it will make your website even heavier for no good reason. Put good photos, good quality photos, let them communicate information, and also allow room for more information, call for action, something like that. And then discoverability. This one we've been talking about. There is something that is called search engine optimization. It's a science. Previously, people would manipulate and somewhat outwit the search engines like Google or Yahoo or Bing or something else. They would tweak things, and by the end of the day, somewhat manage to cheat that search engine. But that is no longer possible because we are now at a level where we deal with artificial intelligence. If somebody clicks Google's about you, gets your page on top, and then they click and they don't even take their 3 seconds, they realize that this is a wrong page. Next time, the search engine won't put it up. So discoverability means you put in the right information, you put in the right titles, you put everything accurately. There is a way of building it so that somewhat you always have a chance. When somebody looks for information accurately, they will get you right. It's good to know that. And that is part of what we call optimizing your website. Now, your content will always depend on lots of other things. It will depend on your trade. It will depend on your your focus, which people you focus on, and things like that. So, what will make up your content first of all is your bio or your CV if it's for an individual. The things that you already have developed. And the images, it's always good to have images. Most people just love to have them Googled. That's fine. And well, Google doesn't have a lot of free photos, but if you want authentic photos that you can even copyright, most images that are online are copyrighted. So if you just use any other, you might at one point find yourself in trouble. So it's always good to have genuine photos, or at least if you are sure this one I got online, but it's free, I am allowed to use it without any legal issue. You always need a logo. Somewhat, most times it's required when you are building an online. A logo does not attract people to you. This is another problem that we meet in building brands. Most people will spend all their energy developing logos, and then you think people will buy your product because of a good logo. It has nothing like that. A logo is just but an identity. It's a symbol that identifies you among others. Oh, these products are also here. Like when you are going to buy Samsung, you get a logo for Samsung or a logo for Sony or for LG. It tells you this is the LG I'm looking for. Remember, fakes can also have logos and good logos. But what will make people keep coming for you again and again is far much beyond the logo, beyond the profile. It's the experience. That's what builds your brand. Colors are good. Most times people don't even know what colors they want, but colors, you cannot have all colors. That today you are yellow, tomorrow you are orange, another day you are, there should be consistency. We know that Kencell, Airtel, Celtel, somewhat they've always been towards that red and maroon. Safaricom, green. KCB, what? You talk of Equity, they have. So it's good to know which colors you want to always use in building your website. Colors for the text, colors for the backgrounds and things like that. Then contact information is very important. Contact information, so that people can reach you more. Maybe filling in form, maybe giving you a call, sending you an email, and it better be a working email. There are people who don't get any notification when somebody contacts them online. Types of websites. Long time ago, we used to have what we called static websites. They were hard-coded with using HTML language. That means if you wanted to change something, then you need that person to code it again. And it was very hard to do such things. Today, we deal with what we call dynamic. It's very easy to edit, very easy to manage. And so most of the websites you will meet today, except websites that were built a long time ago, they even don't look very interesting, the static ones, but they are light enough. The standard. This is a language that I love using to mean that most of the websites you're going to meet, they are just there to display the presence, to announce the presence of that particular organization or particular individual, and tell some story about them, and generally the products, giving information, sort of profile, contact information, some bit of interaction, or maybe blog, things like that. The other level is where it's scaled from that standard. It moves to another level where now maybe you want to collect some information from people. It requires more forms. You want to do some interview. You want to have some charts and things like that. You are able to chat from your website. When people land into your page, they can ask you questions and you respond immediately and something like that. So that's another level where interaction is more pronounced. It's a higher level. And then we have the e-commerce fully fledged, where you even can do purchases using your card, using your PayPal, or maybe nowadays M-Pesa and things like that, where you have a shopping cart and such like things. And there are also websites that are template based, meaning if somebody put for you a logo at a particular corner, that is where that template was indicating. They cannot put it on another corner. And when you want them to do that, somewhat, most of them will find it difficult. That now I want my logo to be here. This contact information, I want it to be here. Or some of them are not easily customizable. I've seen this more so with WordPress templates and themes. And then there are those ones that can be easily customized, and they can be added with certain codes and plugins, and they become exactly what you want them to be. So all those are there just to make life easier. Support is key. You must be sure you have support. When I chose to register my organization, ICT Gurus EA, that was in 2009, I was still working with Africa Online as a support engineer. And I realized that during that time, a little more organizations still had some IT department. But I knew that as time goes by, most organizations are not going to afford that. Just like a long time ago, an organization would hire a security guard, hire T-girl, hire cleaners. Today, most of those things are outsourced. And the same thing happens more so in the SME world. You cannot have all this budget. You want people whom you call them when you need them, and you finish with them, or you can have a contractual agreement. It saves you a lot of money. So you always need to ensure that you have people who can help you whenever you need them to sort out email problems. Maybe there is some problem. You want to add something to your website. You always also ensure that you have control. You can always take control. Not that you depended on somebody. I've had some people who you depended on somebody and then you disagreed. When you disagree, they go with all your credentials. So you cannot retrieve your website, you cannot retrieve your online information because you had no control. You did not know that. You did not have access to the control panel. You did not have credentials. You left everything on one person. Ama, he gets a problem somewhere and unable to speak. I've had lots of experiences. At one point, I was working with somebody. They were helping me in a hosting platform. And the guy just got, I think, paralyzed and was unable to speak, and he never spoke thereafter. And after some time, he even passed on. So what if you depended on such like people? So you always want to maintain some degree of control for your online presence. It's like you have a shop online. If you don't have control, something is going to happen. Your website website is the official presence online. And through the website, you can now link the social media. People who want to check now, what do you say on social media? You know, nowadays you can be fired if you are working somewhere based on what you post. So you link to your social media, which would entail the major ones are Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. But these ones don't account for your online presence. These ones are like ngumzo mtaani, just what people say. It's like a marketplace. But your official presence is always on your website. Yeah, so that's all. And as ICT Gurus, we have all sorts of packages that you want, and you can expand them. You can, we have the share, dedicated, semi-dedicated. And I know those are big terminologies. Dedicated means you have your own server, which we dedicate for you. and you have your own IT personnel who work on it. It's secured, everything as you want. Semi-dedicated means there are shared bits and the non-shared. And shared simply means it's like an apartment. Yeah, everyone has a key to their own door. Yeah, that's it. Then we are mostly affordable, and we only provide premium services, secure and reliable. I got lots of disappointments when I was helping people and consulting and referring them. By the end of the day, when things are not working, they call me again, and I was wondering, what the hell will I do? And that's what forced me to start providing the service. Excellent support all the times, 24/7. And those are our contacts for more information. At this point, I welcome questions. We've done quite a bit, just like 45 minutes. So questions, comments, I think there are some chats. Are there, how can one start their business online through Facebook without paying ads? Facebook is a free platform if you are not doing business. If you are going to do business, it will always even inhibit you. Yeah, I tried that a number of years, and they would remove my ads because you must pay. So I had to pay. So if you are going to use Facebook, be sure, because it's their shop. It's like you are using their mall. You must pay them. That's just the way it is. There is no escape about that. But you can start there by announcing your presence, whatever. But the moment they detect that you are advertising something, some business, they will always come for you. .com, is .com better than .co.ke? I said, depending on whether your scope is global or your scope is just locally. If you are just local, you are better off, you can always choose to use .co.ke. Problem can only arise because sometimes if you give somebody an email, they by default think it's .com. So you say james.njenga@awc.co.ke. Somebody will say it was james.njenga@awc.com. So the default is always .com, and business, you want always to be simple. So if you can get a .com, get it. If you realize that it's not there, like my Live Your Dream Business.com had already been picked, and I could not, I did not want to edit it further. I just chose .co.ke. What tools do you recommend for local keyword search? The first thing that you need to know when you want to optimize your presence is you need to have accurate information. Don't say that you are selling cars, and so when somebody Googles about car sales in Nairobi, they reach your website only to realize that you are selling the spare parts for cars. It will not come again, because it means you are misleading. So the artificial intelligence that we have today will always detect that you are not giving accurate information, and it will collapse. So when you are doing optimization, you better optimize every page or your website to have accurate information, so that when there is what we call polling and indexing, cataloging, the search engine is able to determine that whatever you give for search is exactly what you had documented. What are the estimated costs? Estimated costs depend. Generally, .com, the domains are in the range of 12, 13, 1400, 1500, all the way to even 5,000, 10,000, depending on what domain it is, because they are not standard. And of course, it also depends on the platform you get it on. For example, our domain is $13.5. But if you are buying it in Kenya with us and you are not going to pay online, we will ask you for 1500.com. But why? Because when you buy a domain only, we give you a domain manager, which allows you to have the control panel and allows you to have up to 3 mailboxes, meaning you can start operating your business authentically. You can start sending mails based on your domain and not Yahoo and something like that. So that is domain. For hosting, most people will tell you that we are giving you 30 GB and this particular speed at this much. And most of them will be 3,000, 4,000, thereabout, 5,000 onwards. Problem is, most of them don't have what we call security. You'll realize that, for example, let me check. You'll realize that some websites, yeah, let me share this one. I was doing some presentations online today for the healthcare bill, the KICA bill to the Senate. And I was referring to the Constitution. So this is a Constitution. If you check here, you see this HTTPS and you see this lock. That means this website is secure, but you are also able to get some websites that don't have this. It means most times it's not provided by the host, but if you want it, it will be provided at an extra 2,000 something or 3,000 or something like that. So it's good to know that when you are taking a hosting, you need to know what is the bandwidth, what is the space, what is the support, and all that. So you will always get compromises. For example, we will give you all that space. We will give you, ours is unlimited space, unlimited bandwidth. We'll give you that security, shared and encryption. We'll give you the support, the mailboxes, whatever, all those things. But when you are, the only thing that's different for us is the number of websites you're hosting in one control panel. Because we know most people, like personally, I have 2 organizations registered, then I have myself, and then I have others. So I may have up to 5 domains. So we have a hosting for one domain, which is 5,000. It provides you, it's a customized control panel, which is easy to use. It has security, it has backup, it has all those things. Then we have one that hosts up to 5 websites at 6,500. Unlimited space, unlimited bandwidth, security, support, all that. And then we have one for unlimited. Let me just check. Let me just share with you something. So if you check, those are the things you always need to consider. If you check, this is our website. So this one hosts 5 websites, 5 domains, unlimited space, unlimited traffic, whatever, everything. But it's just about 6,500 in a month. And there are also unlimited domains, unlimited storage. This one means you can host as many websites as you want. For example, you are running 4, 5, 7 organizations. You can always put them all together. It's just about 14,000 a month. Then every domain goes like that. So those are some of the things, some of the ranges. Those are some of the things you need to know. Yes, for a year rather, not a month. Sorry, that's for a year. 6,500, 6,000, 5,000. It's a year. It's annual. What tools do you know? What are the chances of risk whatever? Risk averseness in terms of putting your business online and failing to get market share or recommend. You see, one thing I know, depending on the type of business I'm doing, for instance, let's say my target market basically is reliable. Yeah, as I said, every business can be put online. You know, we must stop thinking the traditional way of doing business where people must come to your shop. There is a story told of when General Motors realized that people were not buying their vehicles as many as they wanted or as they had been. So they chose to, they were not going to their stores, to their shows. So they chose, why not go to them? And that year they chose to start going to them, to their offices and talking to them and giving them a ride. The sales went up. Now, mechanics, most times, and more so people in crafts business, including welders and something like that, painters, they may think people need to go to their shops. Most the world we are in today, people want you to go to them. So if you're a mechanic, I really don't want my vehicle to come and spend it in your garage. You'd rather come and prepare it at my place. So your prospects are online. They only need to establish that you're there, you're authentic, and they can call you. And now think of how big your business can be. You can always have mechanics all over the country. I was thinking of this a few years ago about barber shops, kinyozi. You can have a chain of kinyozi shops so that when somebody arrives in Kisii and he wasn't able to cut his hair in Nairobi, they will still find your brand there. Why? You've built sort of what we call the franchise. You are able to get people there whom you work with. You can get people in Naivasha, in Mombasa, wherever. Let's think global. Let's stop thinking just locally. People need to walk to my shop. Start thinking collaboration, start thinking big, so that, you see, if you are working alone, you can only cut so many people's hair, maybe 20 or something in a day. But what if you are 500 of you and you are only getting one bob out of each person's hair? And now you are able to serve 5,000 or something like that. So you must think beyond just a physical presence. Think in terms of fluidity. You are always available where people need you. And that's why most people have run out of business during this condition, because their business is some stall that is somewhere. You are selling shoes. Who told you cannot sell these shoes online? People just order and pay for delivery. I do these businesses where people order from me wherever I am, whether I'm in the village or wherever. All I need to ensure is I'm online. They order, they send money, it is delivered. I don't have to be there. I only do the coordination thing. So your business can, and it starts by, if you fear, you know, in business, you are not supposed to be afraid. Yeah? You need to take risks and see how it works. You could create a revolution in your own industry. Thank you for that question. Any other question? Any other question? Any comment or addition? We are almost an hour now. We have 3 minutes. Yes. Comment. I see many people, but I'm not able to hear somebody saying a comment or a question. Do I take it that we are all satisfied? You are very much welcome, Eileen. Yeah, and all of you. So anybody who requires more information, you can always give us a call, or you can email us. That is our email for ICT Gurus. Another one is host@eabesthosting.com. Sorry, it's not .m.com. And then you can always check on our website, and my personal website is otienopolpeter.com. Otherwise, I'm very happy and grateful for your time this evening. I am not able to identify all of you. I see some people have phones. as their names, but I'm very happy and grateful. Thank you, Anthony Murithi. Most times you are always there. Jacinta, I don't know Jacinta, but probably somebody I know. Kama ningeona uso. Thanks, Elda Musa Obuba. Thanks, Beatrice. I don't know which Beatrice is this. Thanks, Lady Noel, Galaxy, and all of you. I'm very happy and grateful. Thanks for your evening. And the YouTube link is still there. Just in case you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing.